Hey everybody, my name is Austin Carr, owner and founder of Greenlink Energy Solutions. Today we're going to be kicking off our first podcast where we're going to talk all things building science, energy efficiency, renewable energy, electrification. We're really excited to have you join us today and talk all things energy. I've got Miss Olivia Goral with me. She's our chief of staff, and we're going to just chat a little bit about some of the happenings at Greenlink, talk a little bit about the team, the culture, and we'll jump right in. So, Olivia, thank you for being on today.
Yeah.
Especially short notice. She found out about this a couple hours ago and jumped right in to help support the cause. So that's great.
It's part of my job.
Yes, chief of staff, all the things. Well, why don't you let's talk a little bit about you coming to Greenlink, how long you've been here, what are some of the things, what's that journey looked like for you?
Yeah, I'm going on almost 4 years with Greenlink. When Austin found me, I was right out of college getting my bachelor's in Chicago in industrial and organizational psychology. And I couldn't get any jobs in the field that I felt passionate about. And he came along and offered me the opportunity. Back then, there was only maybe 10 of us total. And I've really gotten to see it grow since then. I kind of started in a customer relations role, a lot of sales focus, and it grew into this kind of office manager, knowing where all the things are and how to do all of the roles that we had at the time. And it's been really cool to grow with Greenlink. Now we have like 65 of us.
Yeah, it's been a crazy journey. That's over what, like 4 years? Is that yeah, about 4 years?
Yeah.
So industrial psychology through building science guru into solar. Kind of got a taste of everything there.
Yeah.
So what does it look like on your day to day in the chief of staff role? Like, what are some of the things that you're doing, and maybe even tie that into like how that impacts the customer journey for the Greenlink customers?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is supporting our staff directly, whether they need to know how to do something or where to find something or who their go-to should be in this moment. It's a lot of that, but it's also a lot of special projects. I do a lot of work on our processes and documenting those and making changes and helping our staff implement those processes and keep the trains coming on time. So it's a lot of wandering and direct support to our staff. And if they're ever uncertain about anything, I'm usually the go-to first.
For sure. You're definitely the go-to. You're my go-to as well. So. Yeah, so when you talk about keeping the trains running on time, metaphorically speaking, that's not a simple thing to do at Greenlink because we are such a complex organism with all the different things that we have going on. You talked a little bit when you started on the envelope side. Let's talk a little bit about what that progression has looked like from being on the retail into the programs. Maybe we can even chat a little bit about some of those envelope programs. But how has that looked? What was the experience on your side with that evolution?
Yeah, when I first started in the more customer relations success role, more in sales, we were so much smaller, and a lot of the customers coming in were Rockford-based or even suburb of Chicago-based residential customers with homes with insulation needs. Now it's kind of grown into this. We're part of so many programs. We serve multifamily properties. So those owners, managers, and tenants get a lot of utility-funded work for free. And that wasn't something that we did when I first started in June of 2020. It came about 6 months later that we started that program. And then just being part of other utility-funded programs, that wasn't a thing when I started. So things were a lot slower. The phone rang a lot less.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
And it was a lot easier to take care of those customers and provide 5-star care. I pride ourselves on still doing that. I think
Absolutely.
We give 5-star care, but it took a lot for us to get to a point where we could handle that influx of customers now that we're a part of these utility programs.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and like you said earlier, growing from, approximately 10 people when you started to 60 people now, roundabouts there, that's crazy. That's a lot of growth. And you talked a little bit about the system side of what you do as well. That's critical to maintain that 5-star service for the customers. When we go through it with just a few of us, we're able to kind of work together. We're close and we're talking, we're shouting across the office, hey, you got this, I got that. But as you grow and scale and you get up to 60 people, obviously that's no longer an option. So systems and processes become super critical there. But I want to back up a little bit. You said, you're helping some on the retail side. You're saying, these customers are calling in and you're helping them with their needs. What are some of the things, when those phones are ringing, you're helping customers? What are some of the pain points, some of the issues that you get calls for that kind of jump out to your mind? Does anything come to mind specifically about what those customer issues might be?
Yeah, it's usually comfort. Comfort is usually like the number one reason why people are calling. They're saying they're uncomfortable in their home. They feel drafts. It's cold. The temperatures are uneven. Maybe they just had a new baby and their baby's room is freezing compared to the rest of the home. I would say that's number one. We also get a lot of calls, especially in the winter, about ice damming and structural issues and what we call ghosting on the ceilings from moisture and condensation. I would say those are usually our biggest calls that are insulation or envelope related.
Yeah, no, I agree that that sounds right to me. And then I also had made a little note here too about the programs. Let's talk a little bit more about that too. We think about what we've got, our multifamily program, and within that umbrella, there's several different pieces that are served through that program. Public housing, income eligible, and then market rate is the third, and different levels of incentives there. But what's the experience been on your side, serving those customers and being a part of those programs, specifically on the multifamily?
Yeah, on the multifamily side, I think now we have a really good push forward. But in the beginning, it was hard to convince these owners and managers of multifamily properties that this is a real thing and it's a lot of work that they can get done for free. So it is kind of hard to get your foot in the door with them to begin with. They just aren't expecting such a wonderful thing to be free to them. Once we have their attention, what's really cool about it is that they have tenants, and often they're low-income tenants. Like Austin said, we do the public housing stuff too, and they really get to benefit from increasing the value of the property, but also the tenants are more comfortable. Their utility bills have gone down. So I would say now that we've kind of got our footing and people are understanding that this is a real thing that the utilities are trying to do and that, we're one of their main contractors, it's been great.
So as you talk about the multifamilies and, something that comes to my mind is our very first project. We worked out at the courtyards. That was quite a journey. We had fought to get into that program. I think about when that customer had called me, said, hey, we want to insulate these, I think it was, 26 buildings, something like that?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, about
huge
20
campus.
Yeah, about 26 buildings that they wanted to insulate. And I knew that it was very unlikely that a landlord was going to pull that money out of pocket because you're talking in the six-figure range to get that done. It's a tough ROI for the landlord. And so I said, hey, I'll come out, take a look. We went through, did the spiel, and I said, but we're about to be accepted into this program, and we think that this could really be a good benefit to you. And he was willing to hang in there, ride along with us.
He was so patient.
Yep, and we built that relationship, and ultimately that turned into a very large job for us and for them, and it ended up being a larger scope of work than even what he originally anticipated. And as I think about the impact on the customers, they had a number of tenants out there that were electric. Like part of that campus was gas, part was electric.
Right.
And some of those electric customers in a small, 800 square foot, 1 to 2 bedroom unit, probably smaller than 800 square feet, honestly. But some of those tenants in the wintertime, January, February, on the electric heat, they were paying $400 or $500 a month, which is outlandish. I mean, it's not doable, and it doesn't make any sense.
No, that was probably more than their rent cost at
yeah,
that
honestly,
property.
it was. Yeah, exactly. So I think that was a really cool, just like right out of the gate, just a great case study, a great return, a great impact on, all the organizations involved in it, honestly.
And it was really cool for me too, because coming into Greenlink in my role, I'm a young woman. I know nothing about construction or the building science industry or anything like that. So coming in, it was really cool. I remember that project specifically stood out to me the most because you let me bring lunch out to the guys.
Okay, yeah.
And I went out there and they were just working so hard and they walked me around and I got to get into an attic and see what that really looked like. And I remember they were so protective of me. And that's when I remember knowing like this was my little work family. They were always going to love me and protect me and respect me, and
really cool.
Got me down into the crawl space. I got to see them spray foam, and they put a mask on me. They only let me be down there for 90 seconds. They were like clocking it because they wanted to make sure I was safe. And it was just really cool to see in person. And I was thinking about that on the way over here, actually, that the coolest thing for me about my experience at Greenlink has been that I'm this young woman that I'm really confident that when I go to buy a home, I'm going to know what to look for.
Yeah.
I don't need a man in
Sure.
a, suit to tell me what to look for.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, cool.
It is, definitely. Well, let's dig into that a little bit too, actually. You talked about being a female and navigating the world of construction. We've had several times when, in your role and some of the duties that you fulfill when you're talking on the phone and you're helping the customers navigate and you connect with some of the female customers in a way that really gives them that peace of mind and that comfort and demonstrates your knowledge and expertise that you've learned over the years. Do you have any of those stories that come to mind, any of those examples of some of those customers or anything that you can add to that maybe?
Yeah, not specific ones, but I know that that's been really impactful for our female customer base. They call in and a woman answers and they're already shocked. They're not expecting that in this industry. And the way that I can explain to them what's going on with their home in words that they understand, that doesn't always happen when, a maintenance man or a handyman or something comes to your home, a contractor. And I've just always had really, really good feedback about that. And a lot of our female customers and non-female customers are always, they think it's so cool that our staff is full of women. I mean, our project success people that explain our scopes of work over the phone are women. The people that handle our permitting and things like that on the solar side, women. We really have a lot of really cool women. So I've always loved that about us. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's great. And the diversity of our team and the depth of knowledge in all the different areas is really cool. How about some of the electrification? Did you have much to do in the electrification program this year? Much involvement in that?
I didn't. Besides seeing the customers come through the portal, I really didn't have much to do with that or even communicate with those customers.
So I'll just kind of give a high level what that looked like and what that was, because it was a really cool program that we were really proud to be a part of. And we'll dig into that, in depth in some of the future episodes. But the electrification program was funded through ComEd. It was a pilot program in 2023. And we were offered the opportunity to be a part of that program during the pilot year. And what they were doing was going into homes, allocating a budget to go in and weatherize those homes, make them more energy efficient like we do, and really tighten them up, reduce the air infiltration, get the R value and the insulation to the levels that it needs to be. But then beyond that, replacing appliances from gas to electric. And I think one of the biggest and coolest things is converting the mechanicals, the water heater, the furnace over to an air source heat pump. That was just a really neat program. And again, just one of those, an additional layer to the impact that we're able to make for our customers and in the market. It's not one dimensional, it's multifaceted. And, to go in and be able to offer and be a part of a $40,000, $50,000 project for somebody's property that's zero cost out of their pocket is really cool. It's really fulfilling. It's rewarding for us and really an honor to be a part of.
I think it's interesting, this vision that you had for Greenlink when you started so many years ago. I think it was about 5 or 6 ago that you really got this energy efficiency focus. And just comparing that to like the state of the world now and how there's such a huge focus, and even in the media, about global warming and recycling and protecting the environment and all the things that we can do, the products you can buy in stores that are BPA free and things like that. It's interesting to see that you had this idea or concept of what you wanted to do with your business and what you cared about before it became so popular in the media. And then these utility companies just happen to pop up and say, we want to save the world too. And these are all the initiatives that we're going to do to, save on the fossil fuel situation and push people towards all electric. And we were already there. And when that pilot program popped up, it just seemed like the perfect matchmaking in heaven.
It's like we were made for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just really cool ironic to think about that progression.
It is. It is very cool to think about how that all happened.
I would just say, like, in general, when you're talking about people, like with my background in IO Psych and everything, it's so much more in a business than what their tasks and duties are. It's really about who they are as people, and that's why our customers have loved us so much. Like, talking about that customer journey, it really all comes back to our staff. I mean, we have these cute little nicknames for some of us, like, the golden retriever of the group, and that's because he's so peppy and positive and nothing's the end of the world, and he knows there's going to be a solution for our customers. And so we call him the golden retriever. Or myself, everyone always says Olivia's the office firefighter. There's not a fire she can't fight. And it's not always about just the tasks and duties that we all check off the list. We're all great at our jobs, but it's really about who we are as people. And I'm really proud of the team that Greenlink has.
Yeah, it's something that I think about often. It's like how fortunate I am and we are that, these people have just come together throughout the different experiences and journeys they've had in life to land at Greenlink and to build this really amazing work family with all of our strengths and weaknesses and quirks and, for better or worse at different times. But it comes together in a really beautiful way to allow us to make the impact that we do, which is really cool.
Yeah, we are all really so different, but we appreciate that about each other and I think really pull on each other's strengths. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's something that through the years, even earlier on as I was starting the company and starting to add employees, I'm like, okay, this person is so much different than I am. And at one point I didn't realize what a value that was. In fact, I was talking to Anthony today, our inventory and procurement guy, and we were talking about that exact thing. Just, when we look and reflect upon some of the different folks and their strengths and their weaknesses and how that complements, the overall objective and the mission that we're trying to accomplish here, to be a thought leader in the energy revolution, it takes all that diversity with our strengths and weaknesses. So, that kind of makes me think a little bit about some of the folks on your team. You've got AJ as a policy analyst on your team and Ashley under HR, and some of these other people. Can you talk a little bit about maybe like the incentive index that you and AJ worked on and how that translates over to, our customers and adds value in their lives?
Yeah, I think another great thing about our staff is they come from so many different walks of life, from our crew members to our admin, and they've all had experiences that were life-changing, and so they are so relatable to our customers. Whether it's our low-income customers, we relate, and I think that allows us to do a way better job just being on the same page as a lot of our customers and knowing what to do. And I think that plays into the incentive index and us just getting involved in incentives and grants and rebates and these programs. AJ and I worked on an index because we were getting so involved with too many things to keep track of. Our sales team had no idea what we could even offer anymore. So we worked on a filterable, I don't know if that's a word, spreadsheet, so that we can really figure out what incentives, grants, rebates, and programs apply to different types of customers and different types of buildings. So we kind of have like our own little incentive encyclopedia at Greenlink that any one of our staff or even our customers in the near future, maybe on our website or whatever, can use to see what they qualify for or what fits their situation.
Yeah. With that incentive index and the value that adds, like you just talked about, I've had conversations with customers and say, the way we come across, like, well, you guys are acting like you're almost like do-gooders in a way where you don't care about the money. And say, well, we're running a business. We want to make a profit, but we do truly care. It's not just this transactional thing where you pay us and we're going to do some stuff for you and that's that. And we have customers where, if there's any questions, any concerns, it could be years later, days later, doesn't matter. We're going to come out there. There's been many times we've gone out to customers' houses and nothing that we were a part of that was a negative to the work that we did, but just to go out and take a look. I think about, a solar customer that we were talking about yesterday. We installed solar on their commercial building and it's, 38 degrees. We're just coming out of this polar vortex of negative 14 degree weather. And, they were moving around through their building and started to see water stains on the ceiling tiles. And she said, well, I think I've got roof leaks here all throughout my building. And I said, okay, well, it's unlikely, but let's get out there right away and we'll take a look and see what's going on. So we sent out one of our solar foremen. He's out there, sends me some photos, and I'm seeing frost accumulation on all these nails throughout the building when he pulls down that insulation. Say that's 100% not a roof leak. That's a condensation issue. And I told him,
which we can fix.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yep, we can help with that. And but if she hadn't had that relationship with us and she was calling a roofer, like a lot of people do, they don't know where to go with that pathway. So just the fact that we want to help, whether or not we do any work from it, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. We just want to add value. We want to help our customers and build relationships, long-term relationships. And it makes me think of this. We have a review from a customer. It's a 5-star review. And I don't remember the whole depth of it. We can look it up online later. But this customer said something to the effect of, like wandering through the wilderness and I find this unicorn that is Greenlink.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was a really cool review, actually. It's the one that sticks out the most to me. But it demonstrates what we're talking about with, the importance of really working things through with our customers there.
Yeah, I think our customers know from the moment they first talk to us that they'll always be able to call back. I mean, there's so many times I've answered the phone and it's not something that we necessarily can help with, but just offering them advice or giving them a referral of where they could go or saying, hey, how about you call this person or investigate this a little bit? I'll send you a link, but then you can call me back if you still feel unsure. Just offering people that opportunity to talk to you as a friend and somebody that can offer advice. They know that from the first time they talk to us, whether we're going to do work for them or not, that they can always come back to us if they need us. And I really appreciate that about our company too.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, today I was meeting with a distributor partner of ours. We were talking about some insulation products specifically here. And I said, when it comes to our competitors, to us, it's not like, hey, we want to beat these guys, although we do, but not to the detriment of the customer, right? And so there's many times where we've sent referrals over to, an insulation company across town because they're more suited for maybe a volume type project. Right. Maybe the customer's not as interested in the building science side. And so, sending the customer, whether or not it, turns into a project for us, that's not always our main focus.
Right.
It's about what's best for the customer. And that actually makes me think about, often when a customer calls, if they're not in our service area or something along those lines, you or Amber, you guys will jump online on Focus on Energy, maybe if they're up in Wisconsin, look up other contractors that are highly rated, highly vetted, and a part of that program and Focus on Energy and get them connected with them. And I don't think a lot of companies would do that. Take the time to have that conversation and spend the time with the customer to help them get on the right path again. Yeah. It makes me think about our first and only 1-star review. It's a customer, he called in, he was 3 hours away from us. And, we're like, you're just too far. You're outside of our service area. We'd love to help you and work with you. But Olivia got him connected. I think it was you that was, you were the one speaking with him. Yeah. Took all this time, a half hour, 45 minutes, whatever, spent this time on the phone, got him connected with some other groups. And this guy wanted to work with us so bad and was so upset that he couldn't because of distance that he left us a 1-star review. I'm like, well, if we got to have a 1-star review, that's one I can live with there.
He even said in the review, like, they're just 45 more minutes, away from what they say their radius is. And I was like, 45 minutes is a lot, sir.
That's a long way. Yeah. And it's not just doing the job that had us concerned. As I think back about that, it was, sure, we could drive out there for a couple days, do this project, but what if he needs that service, that customer care? He has a concern for us to be able to follow through with that 5-star experience. That's really when that would become a problem in my mind.
And I think it was a service that, was slightly outside of our scope. We can talk about what historically we've called our project minimum. I don't know that I love that word anymore with how much we've grown, but
I agree.
The scope of what he was wanting was smaller than the jobs we typically do.
Sure.
It wasn't a very efficiency-focused project.
Right. And that's a big thing, when we talk about the envelope side, which is kind of what we've been really talking about a lot here. On the envelope side of what we do, it's all building science focused. We are not an insulation contractor, although that's a part of building science. But building science is a number of things. And, at its core, it's controlling, measuring the air infiltration in a home, moisture control, and the thermal barrier, the insulation of the attic, the walls, the rim joists in the basement, and solving the problems that people have. Sometimes folks will call in and say, hey, I've got 10 bags of fiberglass. I want somebody to put that in. Again, in those situations, we'll say, okay, why are you doing this? What's the reason behind it? What are you trying to accomplish? And if they say, well, we just want it there, it's for our garage. Okay, cool. We'll try to get you connected with somebody again. Maybe, somebody across town is a competitor that can help you out and is better suited for that. But for us, it's really about the people, like you said earlier, they're having their first child in that room that's been historically a guest room in the house. They don't use it too often, keep the door closed all winter. They're getting that room set up and they realize, wow, it's 10 degrees colder in here. And that's a common thing. And it's, a common misconception people think is that it's about the age of the house. And they say, well, this house is only 20 years old. It's not a 100-year-old house. That really doesn't have a big impact on it. It's the design of the house. It's the thought that was put into it during the construction process. We'll go to brand new houses that have ice forming in the attics or have those ghosting issues like you spoke about. And so we really want to help customers by solving the problems that they're having. I think that's the value that we bring for sure. One of the big ones anyway.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite Greenlink service that we do? Like, what do you think is the coolest thing that we do?
Coolest service. Ooh, that's tough.
Like, to you personally, what do you think is like, whoa, that's really cool?
Well, right now I got to say I'm pretty hot to trot on the HVAC side, and specifically the air source heat pumps. I think that's one of my favorite things right now. There's so many, it's hard to choose, but the technology is really cool because although heat pumps have been around for years and years and years, they've never been a great candidate in the northern climates. And again, as we're coming out of this polar vortex situation, we got a really cool, first run and case study on some of these systems. These Mitsubishi heat pumps that we installed, again, historically, heat pumps are shutting down at 30 degrees, 20 degrees, and the efficiency's dropping way off, and you can't keep that house warm. And so at that point, the heat pump is going to turn off, and you're going to switch over to electric resistance heat or gas. Well, in these electrification homes that we were talking about earlier, where we did all electric, so there's no gas backup, you're going to resistance heat. Several of these homes, the resistance heat never needed to kick on. It was able to run off of the air source heat pump during negative 15 degree temperatures.
Wow.
And maintain that 70, 71 degree set point in the house. And that just absolutely blew my mind. I was very fascinated with that. So I think that's just a really cool technology that we're going to see more and more of through the years. It's really just going to change. It's going to change the industry and the world for that matter. It's a big deal. Although, dual fuel is great. We love dual fuel as well. And we talk about dual fuel. That's the air source heat pump coupled with the furnace. And that's a great technology as well. But, on the envelope side, it's kind of crazy, but I would say probably a rim joist job is one of the more interesting projects because the value and the cost and the return, I think, is a really great one.
Yeah, I was going to say just spray foam in general. Mental health is like my other thing. I just got my master's in clinical social work, and so I'm kind of like a big mental health junkie, but there's this whole thing in the media right now about ASMR, and I can't remember exactly what that stands for, but it's basically like this psychological or physiological thing that happens in your brain when you hear certain noises. And I'm just like so into the spray foam for that reason, just like the sound of the foam and like just watching it. Like sometimes we've taken videos and slowed them down. And when it goes on and it expands and gets hard.
The visual side, I love that expansion of the foam. Yeah, I could watch that all day for sure.
Spray foam's always been my favorite Greenlink service. I just think it's super cool.
Yeah, maybe we need to get like a little TikTok ASMR situation going on where we're doing a bunch of our spray foam clips on there. I think that would be great.
Yeah, and it's interesting to like talk to people, customers that call in and they're like, yeah, do you do that spray foam stuff that I see about, and they don't really know what it is. They don't know
it's like a hot button word in the insulation world,
and they don't understand how it's insulation because it's not this like material that they would assume insulation is. And,
right, it's not a fibrous material, right?
Yeah, they don't understand that it functions on an entirely different R value scale than your typical bat or cellulose or fiberglass.
Yeah.
So it's just really cool to have that educational conversation with customers too and teach them something new.
Yeah, absolutely. When I talk about the rim joist specifically as a portion of that, the rim joist is where the house sits on the foundation, and you typically have these little fiberglass bats stuffed in there. And I think back to my first house, I was doing a basement remodel, and Greenlink had been in existence for several years at that point. We had done a lot of rim joist spray foam jobs through the years. And we always talk about the air communication to the inside to the outside. And fiberglass, when air is moving through it, works as a filter. Furnace filters are fiberglass. A lot of air filters are fiberglass, just filtering the air, but it never stops the airflow. And so that's why we want to spray foam those areas so we can stop the air infiltration. Probably more importantly, stopping air infiltration as opposed to the thermal barrier, although both are important. But that air infiltration is, that kills the efficiency and the comfort. Anyway, I'm remodeling my basement, and I'm starting to pull out all the old fiberglass because I plan on spray foaming, of course. And it was pink insulation. And the house was built in the 70s, 80s, whatever it was. And I pull out this piece of pink insulation, what was pink, and it was connected to the garage wall. And I pull this out, and it was entirely black, jet black, like the color of my sweater. And what it was is from the cars that were there was a gap on the bottom of the wall that connected into the garage. And so when they would warm their cars up in the wintertime, even with the garage door open, I assume, we'll assume so, those fumes that are getting put off are actually sucking back into the house, some portion of them anyway, and it's filtering through that fiberglass and turned it jet black through the ears. And I was like, wow, if I wasn't already a believer before, entirely
Yeah.
sold, that visual there just said everything. So
The other thing with the fiberglass rim joist situation is the pests.
yeah,
I
that's a
talk
great
about
one.
that with customers a lot, especially the women.
Yep.
Anytime I'm trying to talk about spray foam in your rim joist, like the pests and the critters that want to get in and live in
Yeah.
fiberglass batting is
Yep.
like a selling point.
Yeah,
for
I mean,
me.
the fiberglass is a prime nesting material. Obviously, you know, mice can chew through, they can chew through wood, they can chew through anything, but taking away the paths of least resistance is a no-brainer.
Right.
In fact, in my house now, I went around and did some spray foaming. There's a section that's hidden back there, and it's like 5 foot back. It's a cantilever that connects into the garage, a really weird area of construction. And, realized we saw a mouse in the house. I'm like, man, what's going on? Where's this coming from? And I could hear real well into my garage from the basement. And this is after I spray foamed. So I came back out, ran another blower door, ran an infrared, the diagnostic tools to make sure that we're hitting all the areas. And when I did this, I did it myself on a weekend, and I had missed an area, and I found it, and it was actually just a wide open, almost kind of slide your fingers right under there into the garage. So I guess, what I'm realizing there is I'm telling that story. Both houses built in different areas, different sides of town. Those common walls between the garage and the house apparently are pretty big areas of air infiltration and pathways for those pests to come in. But
Yeah.
So what are some of the other common projects on the envelope side that that you see? Maybe you hear feedback from customers that like, wow, this really made a big difference for us. What are some of the common and lower hanging fruits that you would hear from?
Well, one of the big things we've done since before I started is the animal restorations.
Yeah.
A large chunk of our customers that we do envelope work for, it's usually they came into us because they had a raccoon in the attic or bats, and there's guano present. And those projects have been really impactful for customers. They don't just feel like they now have a cleaned out attic, but they've gotten it done the right way. And it's
right. They come to us saying, hey, we have this biohazard type situation going on with the pests and their feces and everything else. But then they don't realize that, aside from the air quality, but they're also going to have this significant efficiency improvement in that case. As you're telling that, and just that air quality, it kind of makes me think a little bit about that with the work that we do and the impact on the air quality. When you're not, again, we talk about air moving through the fiberglass. It's filtering it at best, but that's coming, air from your attic is coming down into your house, air from the basement's pulling in. Different times of the year, those pressure boundaries are changing, whether they're positive or negative. But it's not good. It's not the air you want to be breathing, the particulates that are floating through the air. So, this air sealing and insulating that we do has an impact on the indoor air quality of the house. And that's before moving into the mechanical side with the bath fans, which we do a ton of bath fans, and ERVs and the mechanical piece with purification and filtration there. So that's really cool. So what are some of the things, Olivia, as you think about 2024 and some of the things happening around Greenlink, what are some of the things that are, top of your mind that you're really excited about that come to your mind right now?
Well, last year we did such a good job of getting the staff together and having so many team building moments. So I'm really looking forward to that. I actually have a couple meetings set up with a couple different entities, local entities in town that could do events for us. But I'm really proud of how we have spent time together over the last year.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to more of that. Improving efficiencies for sure. With the growth over the past 3.5-4 years, things got not messy, but just fires.
Chaotic.
Chaotic.
For sure.
So I'm really interested in increasing efficiencies and taking some of that stress off of our staff. They're trying to give that 5-star customer experience, and I really believe it could be so much easier.
Yeah.
So documenting some of these processes and cleaning things up so that everybody can be a little happier as they work.
For sure. Well, Olivia, I really appreciate, again, you jumping into this today on short notice, and this has been really great. I think our first podcast is definitely a success. And
awesome.
I do got to give one quick shout out. You talked about your industrial psychology degree and getting your master's. While you're working at Greenlink 40, 50 hours a week throughout the years, you're taking your online courses and going to school and investing in your future and your education. And you got your master's degree while working full time. So that's really impressive.
Yeah.
And, it's a great example of hard work and perseverance and and what can come of that. So
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm glad it's over.
yeah. Well, I'm happy that it's over for you too. That was a stressful period for you, but
Yeah.
you did a great job. So,
Thank you.
well, thanks again, and we'll look forward to the next one.
Cool. Loved it.
Thanks.